or not? That question is 1 mark. The last question is use Matplotlib to chart the 2015 income with another feature of your choosing. You already have multiple features. Choose one, but do not forget to use the 2015 income feature, that particular column. Are you able to make out any clear segments or not? For that, that is another 2 marks for you to go ahead and finish. There is a hint, which is use color options to show the difference in candidate preference. Questions? Yes.
I was trying to look for the CSV file. So I'm unable to see the link to the CSV file.
The CSV file, you are not able to enter it.
Yeah, I'm not able to. I can't find it on D2L.
Okay, on D2L, if you go ahead, yes, if you go ahead into content, and basically if you go ahead, you see here in model 2, there is the election preferences.
Oh, yeah.
That's the file. If you, it is a CSV file. If you go ahead, open it, let's say download, this particular file should open for you. Yes.
So the question two, please, can you show that question two? I think there are two options there, A and B.
One second, let's go back here. Yes.
Yeah. So are you asking us to either use the Guinea impurity or
Oh no, you are going to use both.
the two? Okay.
Yes. Do you see here? That's why it is 2 marks, 2 marks.
Okay.
If you only use one, you're only going to be marked depending on that answer.
Okay.
But when you answer both, you are going to be, let's say, marked depending on the 2 answers that you have submitted.
Is there a difference between Guinea purity and Guinea index?
Yes.
There's a difference?
You are going to see it in most probably in next class, but there is. If I go ahead in here, this is how you the information gain for the entropy and how it is going to get, and for I do know I have it. Let's say picture by itself. Okay, once we reach that, I will show you depending like on the information that we have. Okay. Any other question? No? Go ahead, we did not start it. We just finished the assignment which you have already closed on. Okay, so if there is no questions, actually I do have. Everyone was able to find the code from last class on D2L, correct? You were able to find it? Okay. Good, because today we are going to move forward and it is basically the data attributes and information gain and how you can actually go ahead and build decision trees using classification methods. Now, from this, what do you see? If I do want to make it a little bit more easy. If I want to classify these, how am I going to do that? What are they? Markers, pens, correct? How do I go ahead to know which one is true, which one is false? Under what category do they fall under?
Writing material.
Writing materials. Okay, great. Writing materials. So all three of them writing materials. What is the second question I need to ask?
What purpose do they serve?
What purpose? Good. So what is the purpose in here?
That one is for teaching, this one is for taking down notes.
No, they are both for writing.
Both for writing. The type. Writing correct. Type is much more correct in there because writing I can go ahead and write on all three of them, but I need to classify it a little bit more. Which ones of these I can actually go ahead and write on paper?
The one on the rightmost one. The one on your
Actually,
left.
I will write with all of them. Because even if I take right now a paper to write on it, I can write with this, I can write with this, I can write with this. But in which one can I actually go ahead and use it to write on the whiteboard?
This one's-
Only these two, correct? So right now, when I'm going to go ahead and ask, this means that this one just became false to me, right? If the second it became false, it actually fell from the equation. Now, which one I'm going to stick with those because those for me are true. Which one of these is actually much more easier to see on the board? The blue one, depending on what?
On your color,
On the color, that's correct. So again, depending on the color, which one is darker, which one is lighter, I will be picking. Is it true or false? Depending on that, this particular one, light purple for example, I'm going to go ahead and say it is false. The only answer that I got is actually blue, which is the true for me. Now, right now, in this particular case, you only have 3 pens, but what if from all of these sections here, from this box, what do you see? How many do you actually have?
Start counting.
You are not counting because there I do have, let's say, some pencils, I do have some erasers, and I have different shape of the erasers. And if I'm going to be looking for only pens, how am I going to run with this? Again, I will need to eliminate it depending on the classification tree that we have. Is it an eraser or is it a pen? In there, right now, I do have 3 categories. False, let's say if I'm going to go with the size of it, I will be checking 3 different sections. Depending on the size, how am I going to run with it? Depending on the size. What is it the first question I will need to be asking?
can you, the length?
Sorry?
Length?
The length, yes. So, what do I go ahead with? Can I go ahead with this? Let's say it is something going to be between, I'm going to say 4 centimeters and 6 centimeters. Or 3 centimeters and 6 centimeters. Which one is going to be false for me? The smaller one, right? Because it actually falls under. So that is actually everything. And when I'm going to read everything that is that particular size from the whole group is actually going to be by themselves. Those are actually eliminated. Now, let's come back to eraser and pen. And again, I'm looking for the pen only. So the program will not understand it is a pen or it is an eraser, but there is some characteristics that I can actually go ahead and select it depending on it. The size, the length, maybe not at the moment the functionality, but the color, for example. So where am I going to go with? This one or this one? What do I need to look for next? Function or the length. I can stick with the length here, because in here, can you go ahead and write with a pen, let's say that is 3 centimeters long? You can use it for the eraser, but it is going to be very hard to write with it, right? So basically anything that is less than, or let's say between 3 or 4 centimeters, I can go ahead and eliminate that, right? If I eliminated this, what is it that is left for me? The pencil that I will be able to write with. So again, when I go ahead and take it, I can go ahead and take all of those and make them into one classification, into one option. Makes sense? Basically, this is what we are doing in here. The goal is actually building decision trees using classification methods. Think about it this way. You remember the 3, let's say, flowers that we had last classes, right? We had the Setosa, we had the Virginica, and we had the Versicolor. Okay, what is it that we are actually looking for? First of all, what is the petal length that we had?
Less than 2.45.
Yes, less than or equal to 2, not only 2.45. Now, when we are actually going to go ahead and ask that particular question, we are going to be also knowing, is it glowing or not? Still did not open. Then we are evaluating how many samples did we actually go ahead and try it? How did we train it? Is it all the samples that were fed to the algorithm were actually fully blown flowers or not? Still just newly blowing, for example. What are the values that we got? And then which class are we actually looking for? If it right now it is the versicolor. So depending on that, we got the Genie and we got the Genie in there. We got the samples, we got the samples. And as you can see, it is only true or false. Do we actually have that information or not? Is it a true or false statement? If it was the true, is it the correct one or not? When it was true. Versicolor, correct. So basically, in here it is false, but we already know that the samples that it was actually tried, we already fed to the algorithm, is actually 38. The values that we have got for it is 3800, and the class that we got is the Setosa, so we got the information out of it. Now, at the same time, we do actually have false, right? In the false, what did we need to do? Just keep it as it is false. We got, in here we got the information, but here we got one more option, which is again, what is the petal length? And this time, what is it that we are comparing it to? Less than or equal to, but this time it is 4.95. A little bit more longer. Once we got that information, again, because when we are going to look the petal length in here and here, it is pretty long, but we need to have a little bit of more characteristics to actually compare.
So when we begin the training, do we have both lengths, which is 2.45, which is less than or equals to 2.45 and less than or equals to 4.95, or the result of the versicolor, which is false, made us to further train for 4.95?
Good, that's a nice question. That's a nice question. Now, keep this in mind, okay? Look at here. Yes. What do you see?
Different, I think samples.
Yes, they are samples, but what do you see from there? What is the target that we have? When you look at this particular information right now, you are
Yes.
going to think that the target we do not have. But these are, let's say, restaurants. We have the vegetarian, we have the spice affinity, and we have got the restaurant results. This particular data is not taken from one person. It is taken from multiple. It is taken, let's say, from a huge class of people. How many actually go ahead and visit? How many have tolerance for the spices? How many are actually vegetarians? And depending on that, we have got the target. It is actually either yes or no.
Okay, so basically the less than or equals to 2.45 and for they are both targets.
That's correct. Basically, in here, what we are doing is we are asking specific questions. Those particular questions, do they actually answer me, or under which category do they go ahead and run with? Because in here, if I went ahead with the petal length directly to be 4.95, will the setosa be under it or out of it?
To be out of it.
It will be out of it. But can I go ahead and exclude it immediately?
Yes,
Why yes?
because it's already out of the targets.
But how much do you actually have from that information? Okay, think about the first example that I have given for the cup with the color. What did I give? I gave green, I gave blue and pink, right? How many picked green? How many picked blue? How many picked blue? I remember that only one picked green. If only one from that whole data, only one picked green, is the green going to be classified with pink or with the blue? If I do not go ahead and eliminate it, where is it going to be classified?
I think it should be eliminated.
It should be eliminated. So how am I going to go ahead and eliminate it?
Remove it on sample.
In order for me to remove it from the equation, I need it to be actually asked the question that it is going to be eliminated beforehand. Otherwise, it is just going to be 1 in between, let's say, 5. Make sense? That's actually what is going to come in here. Now, think about it this way. The petal length, right? In this particular chart, what do you see? The red by itself, right? Think about that red as the setosa in here, because it is just a small section. It is outside of the chart, outside of what we are actually looking for the petal length. So basically it is by itself. But look at the green and the blue. What do you see in there? Mostly they are separate from each other, but there is some parts that are actually overlapping with each other, or they are very near each other. So in order for us to make sure that they are actually separate, not overlapping, like 1 or 2 of them overlapping, not a problem. But most of them overlapping with each other, that means we need to add extra specification in there. Make sense? This is basically what the classification methods actually mean. Another thing that also it is not in here, but this is actually a picture that is taken from one particular, if I open it here, yes. And for a decision tree, I'm just going to show it like this. I will post the link for the video later for you on Teams so that you can actually view it there. But these are the decision trees. They are a supervised learning algorithm, which is essentially a series of questions designed to assign a class or a value for a particular section. A decision tree used for classification are called the classification trees, which is basically what you have seen in here. This is a decision tree. Why? I come here. Decision trees used for regression are actually called regression trees because later on you are going to find them that we are going with classification, with regression, and all of it. Now the benefits are actually include highly interpretable. Prediction is fast because you want to be able to predict how many, if depending on that cups example, how many did have actually, let's say blue, how many did they need for pink, how many for green? Mostly blue. So if I go ahead and do it this way, if I say pink is equal, blue is equal, and green is equal 1, correct? Now, let's say you are 20, A class. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to have 11 blue. How many pink should I get? 8. Why 8?
20 total.
Yes. So, depending on that, it is 8. I added to the blue, that is 20, that is 11, that actually gave me 19. Green, 1 green, that is actually in total gave me 20. So when I made the study, how much did I actually need? 20. I started with 20. I asked for 20 people's their opinions when I got that. Right now, depending on this data that I have received, if you are going to go ahead and predict how much are you going to go ahead and, let's say, order for the next class, for the next session, for the next sales that you are going to go ahead on, what are you going to order depending on this particular data?
Or more than
20
or more than 20.
or more than 20. Okay, which colors?
More
Blue? All of them blue?
No, more blue.
More blue? Depending on what? Are you going to go ahead and order 10 blue, 10 pink? Are you going to order 5 blue, 15 pink?
No, find the ratio.
Are you going to order 20 green? According to this data, no. So what is the classification you are going to do? What is the decision you are going to be asking?
Maybe something that will favor the blue.
Something that is favoring blue. Good.
Maybe so.
But you already only have these 3 sections. There is no favoring in there. Depending on what? Okay, let me make it a little bit more easier for you. What is your root node?
The first one is base.
The base, which is the cups, correct? Now, from there you go ahead with asking a different question. You ask for the decision node and the leaf terminal. How many green cups are you going to order?
Maybe 1 because it's a terminal node.
Okay, it is going to be your terminal node. It is going to be the final that you are going to get. So, and it is going to be the less number of cups that you are going to run. So basically, most probably, you are going to ask either for one, okay, Aiden does not write, or two. Either of that. Now, what is left for you? How many cups are left? 19, correct? Or 18? The second question is going to be, and there is where the decision node going to come into place. This one, the false, because you still have 18 to decide on. How many pink are you going to order? How many pink are you going to order? Pink cups.
8 or 7.
8 or 7. Okay, why 8 or 7?
Because we have 19 left, right?
Okay.
And then based on the analysis you made here,
Okay. So either
if green is taking
8
1 or 2,
or 7, depending on what you are running. So what does that leave you with blue?
11 or 10.
11 or 10. Okay. 11 or 10. Now, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Let's say I'm going to introduce one more feature, the gender. Okay? How many of the girls, only the girls, are going to go ahead and buy a pink cup? Raise your hands, don't be shy. Only one? Okay. How many of the girls are going to buy a blue cup? 1. What about the other 3?
They are indifferent.
Blue? Okay, so basically 2 blue. What about the other 3?
Green, they will go for green.
Pink? Blue or pink? Or green?
Green.
Green? Green? Blue, green, pink. Pick a color. Blue. Okay. So let's come to the boys section. How many of you are going to buy a pink cup? Again, don't be shy, just raise your hand. No one even raised it, so you're not going to buy it. If I asked for blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. What about green? Okay, so basically on these statistics that you have just gotten, what is it that you are going to face? You are going to face a very big problem, because what you have ordered with what you have, or what is actually in demand, doesn't actually match. How many of you selected green? At least 3. How many did you order? 1 or 2. So some of that ones who did ask for green will not be able to write with it. They are going to go with either blue or pink. And usually, the first come, first served, depending on what they got. So if the girls got in there first, there is a very high chance they are going to go with the blue. But what is going to happen when the boys came in and there is only pink left for them? How satisfied are they going to get? No. Are they going to buy? How many of you will go ahead and say it is only pink and buy it? From experience, it's actually 1% or 2%. And even with that, they said we are going to get it as a gift. So, when you are running with this, what are you going to look? That's why in here it is what we call as decision trees. that's why in there we can be used for classification or regression, depending on what you need. Of course, with that, there is going to be better performance in nonlinear settings, but for the flows, it does come with a flow, because depending on the information that I have just asked and the result that we get, but the scenario that we actually, the end result that we got, without pruning or cross-validation, they are prone to overfitting. And in this case, that is basically what happened in here. The small small variations in the data can result in completely different tree. The second I have introduced the gender in there when they are going to buy, the whole data have went ahead and changed. If I go ahead and change it by one thing and say that, okay, the boys are going to pick before the girls, the whole data is also going to go ahead and change, and that is going to give me a whole different tree that I will need to fit it with. And that is why in all of this, usually we go ahead with the root node. First of all, where is the problem? What do I actually need to go ahead and fix? And from there, anything that is going to be the end result for me, that is going to be named as the leaf or the terminal node, because that's the end result that I have got. While anything in blue, you are going to see it is actually the decision node, and we can go ahead and have as many decisions as we need. And for this, there is one more that you can also go ahead and look at. This is a decision tree, the Obama-Clinton divide. Now, where is the root in this particular section?
The topmost.
Right at the beginning, in here. Is a county more than 20% black or not? And from there, you are going to see no and yes. Yes, it went to Obama. No, it actually went to Clinton. And even with that, even when it went to Clinton, it actually gave another question. And is the high school graduation rate higher than 78% or not? If it is a no, it went to Clinton. If it is a yes, it actually went with another question. And from there, another question that is, and is the high school graduation rate higher than 87%? Do look at the percentage in here. This one, they actually asked pretty much the same question, just the percentage is actually different. 78 and here 87. If it is a no, again, it went for a different question, but with a yes, it went for Obama. With this one, if it was a no, because it was from 78 to 87, they asked, and where is the county? Again, with the county, went yes or no. If it is northeast or south, Clinton actually wins. But if it was the west or the midwest, who wins? Another question. In 2000, were many households poor or not? If they were, yes, they were poor, who did it go to? Clinton. But if it was no, it went with another question. And that is, what's the population density in that particular area? Because you see, if it is a no, at least 53% earned more than 30,000 in there. So, if again, if it is yes or no, who wins, who does not win? Basically, this is actually a decision tree, depending on which county do we need to go, which city is better for us to go ahead and let's say, speak with the people in there. If is speaking with them better or not, what kind of guarantees can we give them? What kind of promises can we give for them? All of these things are actually run on those particular decision trees.
Is it always possible to classify it into binary like this?
Oh, most of the time. Like any particular data, I have seen, if you are going to look for, are you selling, are you buying, are you looking to rent? Which one? Most people is yes, yes, no, no, depending on how much data do you actually have. That's, let me give you this particular example. Do we need planes that are traveling to, let's say, to England every day? No?
Yes.
Yes? Why yes? Why no?
People needs to like move from.
Move from. So basically in here, you answered yes, he answered no. But when you thought about that, you answered no depending on your knowledge. He answered yes depending on his knowledge, but you, both of you never backed it with another data, with the data from the background. My question is, when you go ahead and have that question asked, the first question I'm going to ask, which city in England? Which airport in England? Is it London? In London there are 3 airports. Which airport is it going to go? If it is, for example, Heathrow. Heathrow is that I'm going to go ahead and look for the data that how many planes or how many connecting flights can I actually get out of it? Because if the person is going to travel from here, from Calgary to Heathrow, there is a very high chance they are not going to go to England, but a different country, like having it as a connection flight. So for those people, every day is a plus for them because there is a much more higher chance for them to select that particular airlines. But if I go ahead with you, that is no. There is not a lot of people go to London like every day. The number of population in Calgary with the number of population in England, it's not equal. There is most probably once a week is enough. Then I will go, yes, once a week is more than enough. Once a month is enough for them. But you will need to have it as a classification tree, like that one. Ask, and then depending on that percentage, how many of those percentage actually go to London as in London, or England as in whole England? Because most of them also, I do believe, if I'm not wrong, around 53 or 52% of the people, if they are going to England, they go to Heathrow, but they take a train or a bus. So, depending on that information, is it better to have it running every day or not? Another classification or another feature that you can add is, are they flying from here in Calgary or are they actually flying from somewhere else? Do they have a connection flight from, let's say, Vancouver? From Dallas? Or not? All of that you will need to take it into consideration. That's why most of those decisions, yes, we have it like a decision tree that we have. Questions? Easy or hard?
Coming back to this example, are we assuming that, are we assuming that when people choose their favorite color, they will buy it? Because like attitude and behavior.
Depending on the behavior, yes. We are going to go ahead. In this particular
But we are
example,
assuming like,
we are actually, what happens if they are going, if let's say I was going to go ahead and buy it, I will go ahead and buy at least 8 pink. I will not buy 11 blue. I will buy 8 blue and 4 that are green.
we are having an assumption that
Yes.
they like it, so they will buy it.
Not necessarily an assumption, but an educated guess. with assumption, you go ahead and you assume that
Because very often for attitudinal research, people say people like it, but in practice,
no, practically in here, when they like it, they back it with data. They would have, when the head, right now I have asked, and I have asked how many of you raise your hands. But for them, when they go ahead and do it, they do not do it like raise your hands. They go ahead depending on surveys. Would you go ahead and it is not only these three colors, but they have a full list of colors. Black, brown, white, let's say gray, purple, light green, light blue, red, depending on the colors and depending on the season. Also, so first of all, depending on the let's say on the gender, they ask what kind of color do you would like to do, and they will not ask you if you are going to buy this color or not. They will make the question in a way that is going to say, which color is your favorite? They are going to ask from that, if this color is your favorite, would you go ahead and buy this particular cup in this color? Would you buy this plate in this color? Would you buy this bag in this color? And get the information from there. Then it is actually depending on that information, that data, they will go ahead and create their educated guesses.
it's still yes.
Most of the times, it is depending on no one wants to buy something and stay in their own hands. Like if the green was actually a hideous green, what are they going to do? But let's say it is going to be in Christmas time. Christmas time, red and dark green. They will go ahead and stock on those way much more. Because there is another feature was added in there. Good? Questions? Okay, so let's keep moving forward because these are actually the main questions that you will need to ask. How can we judge whether a variable contains important information about the target variable or not? What do you think? This particular example. Pink, blue, green. Is it the target that you need or not?
We have to analyze the relationship it has with the target.
You need to analyze it, that's correct. I will ask this one, if it was in this particular scenario and this target. It is for Valentine's Day. And you are going to go ahead and buy it. So how many of you are going to buy pink, blue, or green? Statistically speaking, very good. Because you are going to say, I'm actually buying it for Valentine's Day, it needs to be something that is red. So, blue and green are already out of the equation. What is left? Pink. And pink, or go ahead to a different store and find red. Finding red is way much more easy, much more better, because the end result is going to give you way much more better. So for that, how can you judge whether a variable contains the important information about the target variable or not? You need to ask more questions. How can we automatically obtain a selection of the more informative variables with respect to predicting the value of the target variable? I have just answered that question.
Information.
Yes. Why are you buying that car? Now, is it for you, for your own use, or are you going to gift it? Or are you just buying it because you liked it? Or just so that because you are in need of a cup and you are not going to be searching, you don't have the time to go ahead and search a different place. So what are you going to do? Pick whichever that you want that you like, buy it, correct? Or you don't have it, so, and you see that there is a pink one. Pink is near red. You can go ahead and work with that. So you can work with this. You can buy that. Even better, can we obtain the ranking of the variables? Or not? How do you answer that particular question?
We can obtain probably by the preference. Let's say this given preference.
That's correct. You can obtain it. The second, I have introduced a new feature which is on for Valentine's Day. How many of you forgot about the cups that I have, the colors I have on board? The second, I have mentioned red, and I have mentioned red right now multiple times. How many of you forgot about these colors? Why no one of you thought of purple, for example, or black, or white, or brown?
I know the importance for detergent. That's what we needed.
Yes. So we have already eliminated. We already went ahead into the correct thought for that. And those are only the main questions. Now, which attribute is the most informative or the most useful for distinguishing between data instances? What do you think? In this particular example, what do you think is the most informative? Red, green, blue, pink, black, white, gray, teal, yellow, design on the cup. What do you think? Which attribute is the most informative?
Maybe color. Can we say color?
Sorry?
I said, can we say the color, like what distinguishes
What's
them?
distinguishing there? I would say that was a trick question. The occasion. Because you are going to take it. Is it for a special occasion or is it for daily use? That's the most important. In this particular scenario, that's the most important. Correct. If we split our data according to this variable, we would like to the resulting groups to be as pure as possible. So, if it is depending on the occasion, what is it that I'm going to look for? A little louder so I can hear. Yes, the color depending on the occasion. So if it is Valentine's, yes, I will go with red. But if it is Christmas, green or red. What if it was Easter? Pink, light blue, light green, anything that is light, I can go ahead with that. So, will I get a pure possibility, as pure as possible for the information or not? Because when you go ahead to the stores, you are going to see there is a lot of light colors for Easter, a lot of red for Valentine's, which today I'm seeing a lot. And for Christmas, it was mostly red and pink. That will bring me in here. By pure, we mean homogeneous with respect to the target value. Okay, there is one more in here which is going to get, if every member of a group has the same value for the target, then the group is totally full. Make sense? Quite easy, right? How many of you will go ahead to the stores right now and have a whole different look on how they are actually marketed? Good. Because with this, there, yes, supervised segmentation, that's what we actually go ahead and work on. How can we segment the population into groups that differ from each with respect to some quantity of interest? What do you see? Informative attributes. Find knowable attributes that correlate with the target of interest, increase accuracy, elevate computational problems, the tree induction. Where do we actually have? Maybe it is actually a little bit hard here in Calgary, but if you have, like, did anyone go ahead to stores in the US? If you went in there, especially around Christmas, you are going to find that they actually have like multiple aisles just for celebration. And right now, if I'm not wrong, my friend told me that when she yesterday went to the store, they were actually celebrating Valentine's, they were celebrating Easter, they were celebrating Eid, and one more. Basically 4 different celebrations in one go. And what they have ended up doing is having, like, not the whole aisle, only one section of the aisle for one celebration, right before it a second celebration, on the second aisle 2 different celebrations the same way. What were they actually trying to achieve in here? The knowable attributes that correlate with the target interest. They are going in there to buy stuff for celebrations. So, are they going to go into 2 different sections or one section? When you are going to, when someone is going to ask, okay, where can I find this celebration? How are they going to find it? Where are they going to know? How many of you are going to actually be happy that they actually ask you which celebration do you want to ask, right? They want to make sure that it is actually very fast. So they go ahead, they send it in that particular aisle. If they were not able to find it in the first aisle, they most probably are going to find it in the second aisle. But how many of you are actually going to go ahead and walk 4 different aisles in order for you to find what you need? 4 different aisles, it is actually, the probability of it is very low. But 2 aisles, that's manageable for you. Because you're going to walk, if it is, especially if it is something that you do not want or too interested
So
in.
basically it depends on how you need.
Your need, yes. But there is a very high chance that even if you do not celebrate Easter, you are going to buy or look at things that for Easter just for the colors. But on the second eye, you find something that is red, you like the color red, you go ahead and pick it up. Even if you are not celebrating it, you are going to get it. That's why, increasing the accuracy, there is a very high chance of you to actually go ahead and buy something from those 2 eyes in there. Elevate computational problems. Think about it this way. When the, let's say, worker in the market ask you which celebration do you want to ask, or oh, it is in aisle 18, but it turns out it is in aisle 16 because they went ahead and changed places, or it is in aisle 2. Too much aisles in between in there. How happy are you going to be? How happy is the customer going to be? How happy is the actual worker going to be, especially if they are actually walking with the customer to find that item and they were not able to find it from the first time. But when they are actually in one place, there is a very high chance of everything being found way much more faster. That's why tree induction is way much more better for in this case. Another is, how can we go ahead and judge whether a variable contains important information about the target variable? How much does it actually tell us? Basically, that's it. How much does it actually tell us? How many of you interested in buying, let's say, a cup for real right now? I'm going to say 0. Maybe you already have a lot of cups. Maybe you do have already that is enough for you. Maybe if you are going to get it as a gift, you are going to get it as a different kind of gift, not a cup. So, how much does it actually tell us? Am I doing this particular study to get statistics? How much do I actually need, or just how much do I need to start on in there? Another thing, how many of you are actually interested in cats?
Cats.
Yes. How many of you are interested in fishes? Fish. Aquarium. How many dogs? Okay. So the second I started asking that not on cups, but actually on animals, especially pets that can be brought to home, some of you started to go ahead and be interested in this. How many of you are interested in tigers?
Oh, this would be like.
No way. Some people are. How many of you are interested in elephants? Okay. Would you go ahead and buy it to your home? So again, how much does it actually tell me? That tells me you're a dog person, you're a cat person, you are not a fish person. You want something that is actually you are going to interact with you. When I say, let's say, birds, how many of you will think about those birds? Parrots.
No, Fufu.
So that's how much does it actually tell you. Let me put it this way. If I go ahead and mention,
when we post those, I think with what you explained, it basically means like how much we need it, and the information we need to. So basically, it's just the information we need to gather to know how much we need a particular product.
that's correct. Basically, think about it this way. At the start of each school year, when you go to the market, what do you see most? Stationery. What does this tell you? What does this tell you? If you are an elderly, if you are, let's say, unmarried without any children, the second you go ahead and see stationery in there, that means schools are going to start. That means that in the morning there is going to be a rush, because especially the first week, because most of those children are going to be driven to school by their parents until they find different arrangements for them. All of that is the supervised segmentation, because in this data we already can predict what we are going to work with. That will actually bring me a Okay, to the attribute selection. How are we going to select that information? There. Better insights and business understand. How many cups am I going to buy? No? How many cats do I need? How many dogs do I need to get? What kind of cats, what kind of dogs? Fishes. Do I need a fish or not? What kind? How do they actually work together? Can I reduce the cost by actually having 2 or 3 cats in the same place or not? Faster prediction. Which one is going to be selling fast for me? The cats or the dogs or the fishes or the birds? If it was a pet store. If it was the cups, pink, blue or green, which one is going to be selling fast?
Depends on the situation.
Depending not only the situation, but I already have the data. If the boys comes first, there is a very high chance blue is going to be selling very fast. If the girls come fast, it is actually a probability between blue and pink. Green is already low for me. Better predictions. I've already predicted that I will, depending on who is going to come first, that person is going to go ahead and buy this particular item first. Okay. Also, for this, if I come, the objective. Now think on this for next class. Because with this, based on customer attributes, these are all customers. Partition the customers into subgroups that are less impure with respect to the class. Depending on what? If I'm telling you these are actually the customers, what do you see? Such that in each group as many instances as possible belong to the same class.
Mostly they are seeking for the same source, so that's why it's less impure.
Okay, so depending on what? Same source depending on what?
It's saying subgroup that are less impure, so they are seeking for the same source.
Probably, correct. Now, depending on those are no, yes, 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 no, yes, and no.
Only 3 are no.
Depending on these 3 no's, because that is the easiest for me to go ahead and work with. The less number. Those things, are they the same? Color body. So, no, it is orange, correct? Then I have got orange and orange. But what about the head? One blue. And if I go ahead with the color body, this one is also orange. So it is a yes. So how do I actually rank this? It's not an easy question. It needs thinking. So, think on that for next class, and then we are going to keep it, pick it up from here and continue with it. Questions before we end it for today? No questions? Okay, then have a nice rest of the day, everyone.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Madam,
When you're trying to get to your target, what do you prioritize?
Depending on the category, depending on why I go for that target. It is just going to be different from the
So you put the positive, when I say positive attributes to the bottom, and like the negative.
or doesn't need to be positive in the bottom or not. That is something I will go to see the next slide, where we actually go with no data or negative data and how we are going to move it. Because if I go ahead with setting pink, blue, and green, which one is better? It is either pink or blue. Green is a no. But at the same time, if it was traveling, traveling that means the positive, if there is any protection class, that is actually a positive, which I'm going to maybe try to do the dogs. If I go into, let's say, the hospital, with the hospital, which one is actually much more urgent? That is positive. I need to move it in there. Some people say no, the most urgent is actually the negative. Then in that case, the positive and the negative just change places and we move the negative. But mostly it is the positive that we do, because that's the most data. The most pressuring data that needs to go forward. Let's say with the example that is for the pet store. Cats, dogs, fish, or birds. Which one says first? Dogs and cats. You are going to see that a lot of people go ahead with dogs or birds, but there is at the same time, if, let's say, if I'm not wrong and my memory is correct on that, 51% goes with dogs, while at the same time 50 or 49% go with the cats. It is just depending on the probability, on the statistics, on the data that you are receiving. Yeah.
Question, please. So I can see the assignment deadline is next week Friday.
That's correct.
Okay, so when are we going to start with the code? Because we need to get ourselves conversant
I
with it.
will try to add it next class.
Okay.
Like at least show you. In here, in this particular video that I'm going to post on Teams, if I open it, if you also go through it, you are going to see there is also how the tree is being built and done in there. You can also watch it that if you want superior knowledge to it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.